I'm recording this video quite late at night, but it's a very important one because it's about content creation, but more importantly, individuals' purpose and aimlessness, in fact. This world has many complications, and many people see those complications and they want to tell others and say, man, you gotta wake up and look at all this stuff that's happening, you have to see what's going on. Right now, it's late at night, I got laptops here, I'm trying to set up radio projects, trying to start up a newspaper project I got going, I have backpacks and notebooks and notes everywhere. I mean, I'm the crazy mad scientist over here, inventing things and thinking of different ideas, but that's because I like to do it. This is what I'm passionate about, this is what I've always done. Many people want to imitate others and their actions, and some people, they might be worth imitating. Mark Passio has great ideas, and a lot of it is really powerful for a lot of people because they see changes within their own life. That alone tells you great wonders. As with many spiritual philosophies, and I did a whole video talking about spirituality versus religion, there's a guy I really recommend, and his channel is Jason Gregory, because the reason why I really recommend it is because not a lot of people know about him. But just because not a lot of people know about him does not make him any more or less powerful. He's speaking his heart, he's passionate, he cares about the message, and that's what matters. I simply do the same thing. He did a video to somebody who asked him, he said, hey, why should we strive trying to get our purpose? Are we striving, trying to create the world we want to create? Is there work involved? Yeah, there's work involved, but you shouldn't do something unnatural. He said, it's because I was passionate that I am where I am, where he has this channel with hundreds of thousands of subs and, where he's making more of an impact, but he built that over several years. He didn't give up. And he didn't give up because nothing was going to make him give up. He was expressing himself authentically for who he is. And so the problem with, people who are partaking in the one great work is they seclude themselves to the one great work or certain messages that aren't necessarily authentically their own. And beautifully, you have to see that as a unique individual, you have your own approach to things, and you have to find that. How many times do I have to stress that to people, that they have to find the individuality in themselves? Because you can talk about objective morality and universal law and concepts all external, but if you forget about yourself, the picture is incomplete. Both the internal world and the external world. Everything in this life exists for a reason, and you cannot take one part of it out and say, this is not, because it's all there, and it's all there for you to learn and experience this great, insane, amazing life that we have. And so it's something I want you to know, that everybody, I've met many different people, not everybody, there's a lot of people who are still doing this work, but there's a lot of people who leave doing the one great work, which we say is freeing humanity from their chains, from their bondage, from realizing that they've been enslaved through governments, through man-made systems, and there's people who give up. They say, man, nobody's gonna wake up, nobody's going to see this, and the thing is do they realize that there was only a couple hundred voluntarists, anarchists, real abolitionists only a few years ago? When I make this video, this is, right now we're in month 4, day 15, 2023, okay? This is when I'm recording this at 2 a.m., and guess what? There were only 100 or so people. There was growing, it was online, it was more underground. Guess what? Now there's hundreds of thousands, and now you have content creators, so the exponential growth is very high. And then you see Mark Passio in his videos being shared across everywhere and on channels, and they're not even asking to contact him or go onto the network. They're just posting excerpts of him speaking and then putting videos on it, like the channel Motivation Manifested. It's getting millions of views. Literally, ex-occultist shares hidden wisdom about the 33rd degree Freemasonry, and it has like 2 million views on YouTube. And then he did another one, had this another several million views, and there's several channels like that because people are like the spiritual truth. But then there's philosophy channels. They don't do as well because people aren't so interested in them. But then there's health channels. You got, Patty. She's a naturopath who's on the One Great Work Network. And there's a lot of people in health that are going into this as well. Of course, I have a health project coming out as well. So it's all just coming together. And if you're not seeing it, I don't think you're actually paying attention, because I don't pay attention to the news much. I don't pay attention to the media, but in these circles, in these communities, and yes, you're going to see it more because you're in the community. You're going to be like, oh man, people are starting to wake up, when in reality, the vast majority of the world doesn't see it. Yeah, that's true. But even still, there is a lot more people coming to realize it. And when you talk to more people and you interview them, and when you get involved in real life and you find the people that you can talk and share your ideas with, simply sharing, that's how you see so much more potential. If I didn't meet people who were passionate themselves, even about ideas that I might have disagreed with, it wouldn't have fueled my passion. This is why I went to alternative groups that disagreed with me on purpose, because it inspired me to look higher toward what purpose am I aiming for, right? I bought a bunch of books from Larkin Rose, and I have a bunch of books of my own, and I share that with people. I give it out to neighbors, I give it out to community members, and they can think of what they want with it. But, of the 100 or so people I might give it to, there's bound to be at least one or two who really have interest in it, or who read it and really makes them think, or at least it plants the seed for the future for when these ideas do get big and come their way. People need to see things several times. This is how they indoctrinate people in the very first place through these man-made systems, is they expose certain symbology, they expose certain ideas, and they keep doing it over and over and over again to the point where it's inescapable. That's not my goal with this. My goal is to plant the seed that grows to the tree, that you're going to see that tree and you're going to be like, wow, that's a really cool tree. I might want to grow the same tree. And that's where the ripple effect happens. And that's where the one great work is. It's not the one great work, it's your work, whatever that work may be. And, I respect Jenna, ESP, for saying, oh, well, the network and this and that, I'm not a fan of that. She even criticized me about some things. I respect that. That's stinking awesome. I respect communities that criticize Mark Passio's philosophy. If you notice on my channel, I do interviews with them. I don't care. Why not? There's going to be disagreements. There's people who don't even talk to me because of my views on veganism. So be it. What am I going to do about it? I simply live my life and do my thing. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to leak DMs. I'm not going to be like, oh, look at this person. I'm not going to be like, oh, not enough people are paying attention. I got to have more bling. I got to have more music. I'm going to be myself and not worry about it. But how many people are willing to say that? Because this is going to be the true test of judgment. There's going to be people who may not last more than a year in content creation because they're not passionate. I couldn't last 6 months when I was inactive on my channel. I was like, after the first month, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm passionate. I need to do something. This is part of my soul. This is who I am. I've always asked questions. I've always found the truth. And I had no shame to keep all my older videos up there. And I have a lot of old tweets too, apparently. I don't even know what they said. I was in 2016 when I supported Trump and all sorts of things. Who knows what I said, right? But I'm not ashamed of my past. I stay present. I look toward the future, but I stay in the present. So I don't care about what's going to happen in the future or what has happened in the past. The abolitionists inspire me. But they proved, what did they prove? They proved that if you live in a different part of the world and you see people are not listening, don't worry, because America did it first. They're talking about natural rights and natural law and freedom in America, and it spreads to the rest of the world. Everything that you create as a movement, as an energy, as a thought in motion that comes and spreads to other people, it eventually formulates into a group and a society, and people are starting to talk about it more. Now it reaches the whole world, and now so much more magic is being created. Now, I don't usually wear black, but that's because my shirt is on backwards, darn it. But nonetheless, even if we get things done backwards, even if we mess up and we say, oh man, my past, that should not even let you down either. Okay, there's a reason why my naturosophy is talking about Taoism, or talking about transcendentalism, and these things that Mark Passio may not even talk about, because I find these complementary to his approach. He might say, get angry, that's okay. He says, you gotta put out the content if you care about the ideas. But the Taoist view is more so, let these things go naturally with the way things are. Doesn't mean do nothing. It's effortless living. It's knowing your time and place as to when to act, how to act. And really, we got ourselves in this mess in the very first place from acting and trying to change everybody's behavior, trying to control the world. So getting out of that is actually doing the opposite, being the example to the world by being the leader, by not being a leader of authority, as the Tao Te Ching perfectly describes. Now, this is not something that Mark Passio tends to promote, and I'm in his community, so I'm going to share that with you guys. And a lot of you know me from his works. Just so happens. But a lot of you also know me maybe because you watched a short, or maybe because you watched a documentary, or because I shared it on some Discord or Facebook or whatever. You can share that with me. I'd be interested. But the point is that, I don't appeal to one crowd. I know my friend Techno Liberty on Instagram, he started talking about raw meat. He had a lot of people from the raw meat crowd going onto his page. He says, man, this is what's getting all the attention. I'm like, great, but don't forget about yourself and follow your heart. I don't care if the anarchist, voluntarist material doesn't get a lot of views, because it will inevitably grow as long as people are putting it out. If they feel like, oh, it's not going to get much attention. The truth is the truth. It waits on nobody. You need to put it out regardless of how many people are viewing it, regardless of how many people disagree with it. That's what you need to do. And regardless, especially of your own personal emotional bias, if you're saying everybody is suffering because of moral relativism and they're letting their own emotional bias get in the way of truth, well, you are contributing to that by saying that there's no hope in the world. You're putting your own individual judgment upon the truth, saying, hey, the truth is not going to manifest itself. The truth will manifest itself at the demise of humanity if it needs to, but it can greatly use human assistance. And it needs human assistance because the whole concept of truth is knowledge, and knowledge we partake in. We are the ones who made such a concept as truth. Truth simply is. It already is. It's already here. The point of studying it is to apply it, to live in harmony with it, so we don't have to danger ourselves, so we can benefit from society, so we can create more things and evolve and all these great things I talk about. I talk about evolution quite a bit because there is a destiny for humankind. And some people will say, oh, there's no destiny. There's no purpose, there's no meaning, you can't prove that, you can't prove that. I don't care what you have to say about it, because if you know, you know. And through enough study and through enough reflection, you will know. And tell me, you skeptic, how much content will you produce from your point of view? Because if you're so skeptical all the time, you're not going to have any position. And you're not going to have a position that appeals to people either. Or at least you'll be appealing to their brain, but not their heart. And without the heart, you lose the whole ground. Okay? Because you need that chakra in place. You need those rooted chakras in place to keep the upper chakras in place. And that also talks to you New Agers who want to stay in the spiritual communities, or always in the heart or the mind, upper consciousness enlightenment, or, oh, and let's talk about these people who like to take drugs. Oh, come on, just smoke some weed. Oh, just do a mushroom. Not that simple, my friend. I'm sorry, I can make a lot of people mad by saying, oh, not this diet, not this philosophy, let's look at everything. But I never said let's look at one thing. I never said that we should not look at this one thing. I'm saying we should be open to everything. Even the idea of governments. Oh, Corey, what are you talking about? You're an anarchist. I'm not even an anarchist. I say it's simply nature. Guess what? Anarchy is actually counter to Taoism. Taoism is actually anarchism, but doesn't call it that because it realizes the identity is the problem. It realizes anarchy is trying to complain. It's trying to look externally all the time. And so this can be a problem. But without perspective, people are quick to assume. I say, okay, you can use the word government. What do I mean? I talk about self-government. I talk about knowing what real government is. That can simply be nature. But if I didn't say that, you would probably be quick to assume and say, oh, Corey, you're supporting government now, aren't you? People that are ignorant will jump to assumptions, and I expect that. But the least I ask of you is simply to listen, not just to yourself, or to others, but to the universe as well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have some faith, some purpose in the real sense of looking toward the future with light on the present, realizing that you're living here after thousands of years of ancestral survival to get to this moment. And you can't just pass that off and say, oh, you know, we're done. There's nothing left to do. There's a lot of work to do, and yes, we have to be a part of that work, but part of that work is also realizing we can't take it out on ourselves more naturally than we already have. It will be counterintuitive and backfire on us. I've talked to people like David Icke and High Impact Flicks. These people have millions of views who end up on the local news, the mainstream news. They attack them and everything. And guess what? It doesn't matter how much they get censored. I mean, look at 2016. It was a perfect example. I knew when Trump got attacked, he actually got more popular. Don't be afraid of the people attacking you. Don't be afraid of not enough people paying attention to the ideas. Because I guarantee you, there will continually be more people sharing these ideas. So don't give up on it, because you can help that process happen much quicker, even if you just keep your videos on your channel. If they have 10, 20, 30 views, guess what? As people do more research, especially as there's censorship, it will help bypass all of it, and it will always be there. So never doubt yourself. Never put yourself down. I know that people, when they look up the history of natural law, they're going to get my documentary about it. I know if people talk about problems with natural law, they're going to get my documentary about it. There's a reason why I created these videos. Again, it's because I was passionate, one, and two, because I saw it was necessary to create out of my moral obligation. There was a lot of times, and there still is a lot of times, where I put enormous amount of effort, tiring effort, and just like I am 2 a.m. right now at night, into different things. But I still get a sense of enjoyment out of it. If I did not enjoy it, I would not do it. I know Mark Passio says, oh, I don't go bowling with my friends. Even though I'm a really good bowler, I could be doing that right now. Listen, you gotta bowl once in a while. I know the guy drinks some alcohol time to time. You see Alex Jones getting pulled over for drinking alcohol, getting drunk. You don't think there's people who do these things on the side to help them pass themselves by? It happens. Realize that what you see online is not necessarily what happens in real life. Live your own life. You know yourself the best. And do love yourself and love the world equally so, because they need each other. Have more calm and trust. I'm going to link 2 videos in the description from Jason Gregory, because you probably don't know who he is, but he did comment on my video about Taoism, and I really love his content. He perfectly describes basically my philosophy, naturosophy, through the Taoist perspective, as I share in my books, and I really like the way he captivates the subject, so I'm going to link that in the description. Be sure to check it out. Thank you very much for watching.